Thank you for joining my Green Bay Packers therapy session. So we are 9 weeks into the NFL. Well, we're starting week 9. We're 8 weeks through 8 weeks. And I haven't made a video on this channel yet. And the Packers, I think the last one I made on the Packers was when they traded Devontae Adams. So I had to go back 8 months and a couple months and kind of see what my thoughts were when they traded him. And it just so happens that, my thoughts are kind of coming true. So welcome into my therapy session with the Green Bay Packers sitting at 3-5. Appreciate you. We have this nice little ticker down here with all the trades because it's trade deadline day that are happening that the Packers aren't in right now. There's still some time left, but so far nothing has come across my phone that the Packers have done anything to help their awful football team. Great ticker. Again, a lot of teams making things happen. The Bears, they got Chase Claypool. That's scrolling through now. The Dolphins, they get Bradley Chubb from the Broncos. The Vikings, who lead the NFC North, the division that the Green Bay Packers are in, and are a pretty good team. They have pretty good weapons. They still have Adam Thielen. They still have Justin Jefferson, who's an absolute stud. Dalvin Cook, stud. Madison, pretty good. And they just traded for T.J. Hawkinson, who might not be Travis Kelce, George Kittle, but he's like that next tier young tight end. They traded for him because they're going for it. They're a team that's actually going to go for it, unlike the Green Bay Packers. So, we're 3-5. We just lost to the Bills. 10-point loss. Offense looked pitiful for most of the game. The good thing that they did was they ran the ball very, very effectively from under the gun. I don't know why they haven't been doing that. If they don't do that this week against the Lions, I'm going to cry. That needs to be their offense. A lot of places I could go here. I'm going to start with... I'm not really going to get into the weeds with special teams. I'm just going to say their special teams is absolute butt cheeks. Their special team stinks. They allow a lot of block punts, block field goals. They don't do a good job. They don't have anyone who's going to return punts or kicks and actually make something happen. Special teams stinks. Love Rich Bisaccia. Team stinks. Defense. I'll get to the offense, but defense. So 2 years ago when they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC Championship game because of Kevin King, because Kevin King was absolutely horrendous and had big penalty over big penalty. Again, that game they gave up a lot of points in the first half, and then they really, really got to Tom Brady in the second half. I thought their defensive performance in the second half was fantastic. I think Kevin King killed them. Kevin King is no longer on the football team, but I think it was a bad move. When they fired Mike Penn, awful move. I thought it was a terrible move, especially considering the offense. As bad as the defense was in the first half of that game, the offense was not any better. Matt LaFleur's head coach, obviously, he's not going to fire himself. They fired Mike Penn. Bring in Joe Barry. Joe Barry from the Rams at the time, a team that they beat in the playoffs that year. So at that point, Joe Barry was not the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. That was current head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, Brandon Staley. He was the defensive coordinator, and their defense was pretty good. Joe Barry's title was linebackers coach and assistant head coach. Joe Barry, in my research for this video, apparently has been a defensive coordinator before these 2 years in Green Bay. He hasn't made it more than 2 years as a defensive coordinator in his previous 2 stops. Let's go back. 2007, 2008, defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. That was when they were like in their whatever years before they get Stafford, so I can't really put this on him, but let's just say their rushing defense, they were 23rd in his first year when he got there. 23rd in yards. Rushing defense. They were 23rd in yards allowed. And then his second year when he got fired, they were last, dead last in the NFL. In yards, they were last in point differential, but they were also 0-16. So we'll give him a pass on that. Fast forward a couple years later, he becomes a defensive coordinator for, at the time, the Washington Redskins, now known as the Commanders. At the time, they were the other name. Let's look there. They're rushing, which is the problem with the current Packers. They were, when he got there in 2015, 26th in yards. And then the next year they did get a little better. They went from 26th to 24th, and then he got fired because they weren't good. Their defense was not good. Their overall defense was ranked 28th in yards and 28th in yards, just total yards allowed, passing and rushing. They were 28th in the NFL in yards. Comes to Green Bay with a pretty solid defense. Again, the 3 years Pettin had there, they were pretty good. Pettin actually got better. So for clarification, we're going to say when Mike Pettin got there in 2018, his first year, they were, let me look here, the Green Bay Packers were 22nd in points, 18th in yards. 2019, his second year, they went from 22nd in points to 9th in points allowed and stayed 18th in yards. 2020, his last year, they go from 18th in yards to 9th in yards, and then they drop to 13th in points allowed. So he got better. Joe Barry comes in his first year. So yards 9th, points 13th. This year, yards 8th, points 16th. Here's the big discrepancy. In Mike Pettin's last year, so again, we're going to look at the rushing because that is the problem. We go from Mike Pettin, his first year, 2018, 22nd in yards. Second year, 23rd in yards. His last year, which was 2020 before he got fired, 13th in yards. He was going in the right direction. Let's see Joe Barry's 2 years rushing. So his first year, building on what Mike Pettin had done, they were 11th in yards, rushing yards. They are 29th this year. They are 29th this year. And then I look a couple columns to the right. Yeah, they are literally second in passing yards. Why? Because people do not need to pass on them. Because their rush defense is pathetic. If your running back is slumping, like they're playing the Lions this week, DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams might each go for 80 yards. Their rush defense is terrible. Joe Barry is not a good defensive coordinator. That's the one big thing. So rush defense is pathetic. I'm watching that game Sunday night. And other games that I've watched, every game that has been in primetime that I've seen, I hate their defense. You literally have, if allowed to be, one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League. His name is Jair Alexander. The fact that you do not, as Joe Barry, you run your defense and you do not kind of figure out you're getting your dick kicked off defensively, but you have a stud cornerback. And the fact that you are not allowing him to take away other teams' best receiver boggles my mind. If you are that good of a defensive coordinator, you'll figure it out how to make that happen. There are reports, I guess, players are not happy with the defensive scheme. I wouldn't be either. So not on top of the fact that teams can literally say, okay, Jair Alexander's on the left side of the field, Stephon Diggs, and you saw the Bills do this quite a bit. He ended up on the other side of the field with Stokes, and Jair Alexander was pretty much, they sent Gabe Davis over there. Let him travel. Figure out your defense. Another thing, every time they line up, they're in a zone, and if it's 1st and 10, the cornerbacks will literally line up 8 yards off. So you are not even, I am not a football guy, but I even know that at least your cornerbacks are up there. You have 5 yards to jam them. At least get them off their spot so your pass rushers can do their job. Because Preston Smith, getting a little older, but he still has some juice. Rashawn Gary is turning out to be a stud, but they don't even have the opportunity because the cornerbacks are playing so far off the receivers that they don't even disrupt their routes. They just let them run whatever routes, and quarterbacks can get the ball off quick. It is pathetic to watch. The defense is terrible. I think a report came across my phone a couple minutes ago, maybe a half hour ago, that Joe Barry is staying. Matt LaFleur is not going to fire him. Stupid move. That should potentially... This is almost like when Mike McCarthy was at the end of his run and Dom Capers was the defensive coordinator, and Dom Capers was there when they won the Super Bowl, but then his defense got really, really bad, and Mike McCarthy just kept letting him stay, and eventually that cost Mike McCarthy his job. If you don't get rid of Joe Barry, one, you shouldn't have got rid of Pettin in the first place. Strike one. If you don't get rid of Joe Barry, because he stinks. Apparently, he is a good linebackers coach. That's what he should do. He should not coordinate a defense because he is not good at it. So if LaFleur is going to keep him, at some point, this is going to cost him his job because their defense stinks. Their offense stinks, which is what he's good at, and you're not going to fire the guy. So you're not even going to try to make an adjustment on the defensive end. You're not going to try to get someone else in there. Joe Barry, based on his track record, this will probably be his last year's defensive coordinator because he's never made it longer than 2. 2 years as a DC. He'll find his job as a linebackers coach somewhere, but he needs to go. Offensively, I'm not smart when it comes to football. I don't know X's and O's, but any intelligent person that talks about football for a living and gets paid money to do it says their offense is basic. I, as a non-intelligent person when it comes to X's and O's, can say that their offense is basic. You watch Andy Reid offense, hell, you watch a Buffalo Bills offense, you watch Mike McDaniels in Miami, you watch any of the creative guys. And I get it. Aaron Rodgers said, we do too much motion, this and that. Nonsense. You need to do more of it. You need to do some trick plays. Like their biggest trick play, and I was impressed, and I don't know why, was they tried to do a flea flicker against the Buffalo Bills. That was a creative play 30 years ago, a flea flicker. Now it's just kind of pathetic. Like that was the creativity of the offense early on. Dumb. Matt LaFleur, I said it, and I've said it in videos on this channel, I don't think he is an offensive genius. He definitely ain't Shanahan. I don't think he's McVay. At this point, I don't think he's McDaniel, like these guys from that coaching tree. I don't think he's any of these guys. I think the last couple of years, and I think it's pretty evident now, the offense was based on Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams' ability to, play the game of football. Now, I will say run schemes appear to be pretty decent. Aaron Jones, pretty damn good running back. But I don't think LaFleur is a great offensive coach. And if you're going to really play in the shotgun, which is what you've done to this point for some reason, when you probably should be an under center, run the ball type of team, at the very least, like, you should be able to scheme your guys open. You don't have Davante. So even in previous years, you had Davante Adams, the only guy who could get open on his own. Occasionally, MVS would get deep, and sometimes Lazard would catch some balls. Lazard, not a great route runner. Who else they got? Cobb gets hurt. Sammy Watkins looks like he shouldn't be on the field. He just looks old. He just looks like he can't move anymore, so he definitely shouldn't be on the field. That was our big receiver get after we lost the best receiver in the game. Dobbs has potential. Christian Watson, I think, was a terrible draft pick, and I think over the years with some of the receivers that were drafted after him, Alec Pierce for Indianapolis, he looks pretty good out of Cincinnati. The guy that I wanted, I did not want Christian Watson because, let's be honest, Christian Watson, what he is going to be Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Like, he could just run deep. He could take the top. He runs fast. But not a good route runner. He could get over the top, but like there's no Davante Adams to kind of bring defenses up to get over the top. I guess the rushing game might do that with the play action if he ever gets on the field, but like, terrible pick. Alex Pierce went after him, George Pickens went after him, and the guy that I wanted went after him, and I think he's really going to start to really step it up in the Giants' offense with Brian Daboll, and that's Wendell Robinson. Wendell Robinson is going to be way better than Christian Watson ever will be, and that's going to be one that they kick themselves because he was literally taken like 8 picks after. So they need something offensively. Still haven't gotten anything, so I still don't think they've made a move. We got about 28 minutes left here in the trade deadline. Still don't think they've done anything, so that's good. Offense stinks. They need to run the ball. Defense stinks. And obviously the big thing, and I'm going to go back because now it's really, really rearing its ugly head, and this is a front office issue. Brian Gutekunst is not good. Like, he's I don't think he is a good general manager, right? Like you can't. At one point, the Packers were really good at drafting players, especially receivers. At one point, they found Jordy Nelson not in the first round, Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams. They were really good, and Gutekunst was in the scouting department, and they were very good. As a general manager, his track record leaves a lot to be desired. So Gutekunst took over in 2018. 2018 was his first draft as general manager. Okay. They got Jair Alexander, who is a stud, maybe one of the best, maybe the best cornerback if allowed to be, but you have a defensive coordinator that's not allowing him to be that. It's almost like, I don't remember the way it was back in the day. For those of you that remember, at the time, Oakland Raiders had one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, maybe the best. It was him and Darrelle Revis, and his name was Nnamdi Asomugha. He then goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to say in Oakland, he was man-to-man, right? Stud, locked guys down. Or maybe it was the opposite. Maybe he was zone, and it was the complete opposite in Philly. So he either went from man to being zone when he went to Philly when he got traded there, and he just struggled. He didn't look the same, or it was vice versa. They played zone in Oakland, and then he went to Philly and he had to go man. But that's pretty much what Jair Alexander, he's one of the best cornerbacks not be utilized properly. Their second round pick that draft, another cornerback, Josh Jackson. He's not with the Packers, hasn't been with the Packers. He's been on 4 teams. They did get Marquez Valdez-Scantling later in the 5th round, but in the 4th round they drafted Jamon Moore. He was a wide receiver from Missouri. Didn't do anything. I'm not even sure if he logged any games. He kind of stunk, so that was a waste. So outside of Jair and Marquez, who wasn't a stud, but he was a good piece, that draft left a lot to be desired. How about... Let's see. How about 2019? Okay, get Rashawn Gary. He is really stepping up. He's a stud. Savage. He's a pretty good safety. And they got Jenkins in the 2nd round. Okay, Elgton Jenkins struggling this year, not really getting on the field. After that, nothing. So I'll give that one. That is a very good draft. I'll give Gutekunst that. Good draft. How about 2020? How about 2020? First round pick Jordan Love. Took some notes here. One, watch Jordan Love start against the Chiefs. Exposed that he ain't good, and exposed he obviously needs to get his feet wet. Obviously that was the big one that exposed that Matt LaFleur ain't a great offensive coach, because he couldn't scheme anyone open to save his life that day last year against the Chiefs when Jordan Love had to play because Rodgers was suspended. So 2020, Jordan Love. There were some receivers in that draft, pretty good one. Some of the receivers were falling. Jerry Jeudy fell a little bit, so we took Jordan Love 26th. He fell to 15th. Probably could have got up to 15th, and he's not even having a great year. But I would love to have him right now over Jordan Love. How about 17th? CD Lamb. Could I interest you in him? He fell a little bit. Could have traded up to get him 9 picks. Nope. Why would we? The Cowboys did. They traded up with the Eagles. Eagles, awful. Ooh, what happened here? Oh, what happened here? What happened here? I don't know what happened to my, what's going on here? Get out of here. Get out of here. Okay, I'm back. I don't know what happened there. That was crazy. Froze a little bit. Okay. CD Lamb. He fell. Cowboys traded up to get him. And then how about the guy who you could go back, there are videos on this channel. I won't link, you could find him. The guy that I wanted. Turned out to be pretty good. His name's Justin Jefferson. I said he was literally the same kind of player as Devontae Adams. Could run really good routes, could get open, appears to be that guy. Really working out for Minnesota, who is now 6-1 and kicking our ass in the division. Seems to be a good move for them. We could have got him. He literally went 4 picks before Jordan Love. And then another guy after, again, rush defense, kind of struggling. Let's see, Patrick Queen, pretty good linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens. He went 2 picks after Jordan Love, so that was a terrible draft. And then 2nd round, you get A.J. Dillon. Say what you want. Love A.J. Dillon. Probably could have found better use for that pick. Probably could have found better use for that pick. And could have got a running back in a different draft. But it is what it is. And then outside of him, okay, they got DeGuara in the 3rd round. Who, again, 3rd round tight end, you expect him to actually make an impact offensively. DeGuara is a good blocker, don't really catch many passes. They got John Runyon. he's been a pretty decent offensive line, although offensive line really struggling this year. So we'll see on that. 2021 last year, what did we do? Eric Stokes. Thought he was going to be all right last year. He looks like Kevin King 2.0, if I'm being honest right now. But again, maybe he's not in a system that really fits the bill. I don't know. They've been going to the Georgia well a little too much the last couple of years. Ain't really working out for them. Josh Myers, pretty good offensive lineman. Again, offensive line struggling this year. And then their third-round pick, Amari Rogers, receiver. I thought he was going to be all right. Stinks. Amari Rogers kind of stinks. Royce Newman, he's a decent offensive lineman as well. So not a great draft. Could have been worse, but they have a couple pieces that are starting, but not a great draft. They didn't get any absolute studs. And then this year's draft, okay, Quay Walker doing dumb things, pushing practice squad tight ends that are trying to help him up, stupid, getting kicked out of the game. He's had a pretty good rookie year. He was a first-round pick. Had a second first-round pick from Georgia. Devontae Wyatt, he doesn't even get on the field. Our defensive line is not deep. It's Kenny Clark and a bunch of guys that are journeyman guys. This guy was a first-round pick. National champion Georgia Bulldogs. Can't get on the field. Don't know if he stinks. Don't know if I don't know what, but he can't get on the field. And then second-round pick, Christian Watson. Again, I think they really missed out on Wendell. I think that's going to show. Christian Watson, as a rookie, can't get on the field, and when he does get on the field, doesn't have any high points, doesn't have many. The only thing I see is he sends him in motion, they give him the little pitch pass, and he goes for 5 yards. That's the only play that he runs, so could be worse, or could be a lot better. And then Romeo Doubs, I think he's going to be all right. Romeo Doubs, I like. It's going to take some time. Devontae Adams wasn't Devontae Adams right out of the gate, but the unfortunate thing is Aaron Rodgers is damn near 40, so they need a guy to be Devontae Adams right out of the gate. Romeo Doubs showing flashes, not consistent enough right now, which is why they need to go make a trade. Still didn't get anything, so they still haven't made a trade yet. Kind of stinks. Samori Toure, wide receiver they drafted in the 7th round, did catch a touchdown pass, but is he really going to be consistent? Don't know. So early on, this year's draft class, Quay Walker's there. He isn't like lighting it up. Their run defense still stinks. This is literally why they drafted Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt, to shore up the run defense. The defense is terrible. Might be their worst. Although special teams is pretty bad. Like it's awful. So those are your 2 first-round picks, and then Christian Watson. You lost the best receiver in NFL, and that's the guy you get. Hasn't seen the field, and when he sees the field, doesn't really do much. So not great. Packers are in trouble. The NFC, they could still make it. Wild card, it's an uphill battle. They need to beat the Lions. I never thought I would say that as like a serious thing. As a Packers fan, like, oh, we need this game against the Lions, and like I'm not 100% confident in the fact that we could beat the Lions. If we run the ball like we did against the Bills, absolutely. But I also did watch the Lions versus the Dolphins, and the Dolphins did win. But the Lions offensively looked pretty solid. Again, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a stud. He's a stud receiver. We don't have to worry about Hawkinson with the Lions. We will have to worry about him the second time we play the Vikings. So that helps. But Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift, they're decent running backs. So our rush defense still stinks. So it might not be great. I think on the other side, we need to just run the ball, win an ugly game. Don't think, oh, it's the Lions, so we're going to try to beat them with the shotgun. We're just going to go straight shotgun and try to beat them with the pass. It's a big win. You need to get to 4-5 because at some point, the 49ers, they're not going to continue to stink, right? You saw they got better. They got Christian McCaffrey. They're not going to continue to stink. Christian McCaffrey's a stud, so they're, 4-4? You kind of need to, you need help from other teams. So you need to take care of your business, and don't get easier. You still got to play the Cowboys, still got to play the Eagles. Like, the Vikings also have to play some of these teams, though. So the Vikings haven't got into the tough part. I don't think the NFC North is still something that we can win. I don't foresee the Vikings blowing a 4-game lead, but crazier things have happened. We're looking at wild card, but we need to make a move. Same guys I asked for when they traded Devontae Adams. I made a video that they needed to draft a receiver, maybe trade for one, and sign a veteran. That's how you would replace Devontae Adams. You drafted 2, one of them, the higher one, can't get on the field. Dobbs, inconsistent, 4th-round pick. What do you expect? He'll get better. You signed Sammy Watkins, old, stinks, washed, probably shouldn't be in the league anymore. Cobb got hurt. I love Cobb, but that's, Randall Cobb gets hurt a lot. And you didn't trade for one. So, again, the same trade targets. Brandon Cooks, that's the one they're linked to. Chase Claypool obviously went to the Bears. And then you got DJ Moore, who I don't believe the Panthers are going to trade. That would be the one I would really want because he's got years. He's 25, 26 years old. He is a legit number one. Don't know if he would be able. I'm sure him and Rodgers can click right away. Like DJ Moore is a stud. The only person that DJ Moore has not been able to click with was Baker Mayfield because Baker Mayfield's atrocious. Sam Darnold, he was able to click with. PJ Walker, it's literally just saying Baker Mayfield. So I think if they were able to get him, and again, your draft picks, I just read off your draftee since Gutekunst has been the GM. Not good, not that valuable. Just trade him. Just trade him. You got Aaron Rodgers, 40 years old. You can't be looking to the future. Jordan Love, you drafted him. Might not even play for you. Might not even play. You might not even get to see if that was a good pick. So that was a waste of a pick. So just trade him. It's not for the future. You got enough young guys. You spent $1 million first-round draft picks on the defense, which stinks. You're not good at drafting. So just trade them. Get proven guys like a DJ Moore, proven. A Brandon Cooks, he was proven. Chase Claypool, wasn't really proven, but he'd probably be better with Aaron Rodgers than he is with Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky. You got to do something. Because if you miss the playoffs, there's a good shot Aaron Rodgers retires and this whole thing's over. And he hadn't looked great. He's missing throws. The offensive line ain't helping him out. Like, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers has been, but, like, he don't have time. He don't have receivers that could get open. He don't have a coach that could scheme receivers open. And he don't have a defense that could stop anyone. Me and 10 of my friends could run probably for 50 yards against the Green Bay Packers defense. And that is not an exaggeration. Maybe a little bit of one, but, like, not really. I'm like 25% serious when I said that. That's how bad that rush defense has been. Got to do something. That was my therapy session. I really appreciate you for letting me rant there. If you're a Packers fan, let me know. Let me know what you think. And hopefully, after I post this, hopefully we will have traded for someone. Because as of right now, we still haven't. There are 15 minutes left till the trade deadline. So hopefully the latest hour, I did hear that Brandon Cooks isn't practicing for the Texans. So he's probably going somewhere. Hopefully it's to Green Bay. Hopefully, but like I don't want to get my hopes up because the Packers don't really trade for guys, so they think that they're just going to roll in with 4 receivers and 4 tight ends that can't catch footballs and be all right. So I digress. I appreciate you watching. This was a long one. This was my rant. This was my therapy session. If you're a Packers fan, let me know how you feel. Yeah, we'll see how it goes next week, I guess.